Hey everyone, it's Night Horror here, and today we're talking about the new meta beam build setup, okay? And really, this is the meta, I think, for just about everybody out there right now. Daedric got up to 150k parse here. I have seen similar parses, very similar builds that are parsing up to 166k. Daedric was just like, dude, my weave times are garbage. And I was like, dude, if yours are garbage, I don't know what mine are, because they're definitely worse than that. But this is the optimal setup running around right now. And I think it's what most groups are just going to be running, especially if you're doing any kind of really hard content. If you're like, oh God, I hate that, I don't want to be running the same thing as everything else, I just want to say that I think I've cracked the code on the setups for raid group composition moving forward. I will do that in a separate video, but there's a lot of options out there with very small adjustments. I think you can bring pretty much anything you want to a raid as long as it makes some kind of sense. You're going to be just fine. You might have to change a few things, but that'll be in a different video. All right, with that, let's go ahead and dive in here. So what is the setup? Well, first up, gear. Null Arca. It got nerfed, and now it's been buffed. So Null Arca is the way to go in single target fights. If you are in an AoE fight, or if you just don't want to worry about it, Onsl's Torment, guys, is the way to go. It's great right now. Onsl's Torment, the thing about it is it increases your damage by 1%, and since all of our damage is going up, while that does buff some of the other sets, it also buffs Onsl's Torment as well, and that extra line of penetration here could be useful for us. We'll talk about that more in a different section, but Null Arca or Onsl's Torment, pair that with Deadly Strike, which is a purchasable set. Both Null Arca and Onsl's Torment, are trial sets. Guys, you can run it on normal. You don't need to run it on Vet. Null Arca drops from Lucent Citadel. Onsl's Torment drops from Sanity's Edge. And you can run them on normal, get everything you need, and you'll be good to go here. Velothi Mage Amulet is what they're pairing this with, so we don't have to really worry too much about light attacking very often. Maelstrom Arena on our back bar with the Maelstrom Greatsword, because it's going to increase direct damage, and the beam is now direct damage, not damage over time. It is still AoE. I think someone got a little bit confused about that, but it is still AoE. It's just direct damage, AoE direct damage. And then for crafted set, guys, Orda's Wrath, and now we have Tideborn Windstalker, a new craftable set with update 46, which will increase our direct damage by 12%. It's really good. It's actually really good. It's not quite as good as Deadly, but it's still really good. So you can come up with a great crafted set that'll get you through all the content in the game. We'll let you go farm those trial sets if you want. You're not going to have any problems with it. Now let's go ahead and actually talk about skills here. So first up here, we are going to go with our daggers. We're going to go with Quick Cloak. Why Quick Cloak? Well, it gives us a little bit of speed. That's nice. Also reduces our AoE damage taken, and we only have to cast it once every 30 seconds, and it'll keep both of our dagger enchants procced all the time just by being up, so we're good to go there. Cephaliarch's Flail. This is a good burst heal, and it's also, as long as we're hitting something now, and it's also good damage and generates Crux for us, okay? So we generate Crux. Once we have 3 Crux, what do? We beam. So you can run either morph of beam, guys. The shield beam is totally fine. If you're running pugs, you're running dungeons, I highly recommend the shield beam, but either one, Exhaustive Fate Harbor, will do a little bit more damage. Just beam to your heart's content. And then for our banner, we want Shocking Banner here, guys. We want increased magic damage for our first option. We want Class Mastery for our second, which we want an Arcanist base on this build. Anything with an Arcanist, you usually want Arcanist as the base for the Class Mastery. That's really literally the only reason you want that, guys, and that's why Arcanists are still so good as the base class. So it'll generate Crux for us so we can beam more often. And then for our third option here, in-group content, which is exactly what this is designed for. I think most groups are going to be running Minor Courage on the banner now, and you're going to get your Minor Heroism from some other source, probably a healer running some particular scribing skill. Fairly straightforward there. I will note the banner now doesn't just reduce your recoveries, it actively costs. So this does make sustain harder. I think with the setup, I think we're totally fine, to be honest with you. I haven't had any problems on the PTS since running this setup, and it actually works quite well. For our fifth skill here, now you have options here. You could go with something like Shards, either Morph, for the synergy for your group or what have you. The thing is that shares the same cooldown that synergy does, as does Energy Orb, but your healers are all running anyways. So I think a much better option for most situations, and it's also very much so for dungeons, if you're running this in dungeons, because you're probably not going to be at that crit cap, is to instead run a shield. You don't need to cast it, but it's there if you need it. And how many times do you not need a shield, right? Like, it's very helpful in all but the most optimized and well-organized groups. And even then, sometimes the content like demands that you run a shield, right? If you're on Basai, we're doing the hard mode in our Monday, Wednesday group. And, you know, if you're going down in Portal, you need some sort of shield. Here you go. You can put it on your bar and it's doing a double role, a double function for you. Just by being on your bar, you don't have to cast it even unless you need it, but just by being on your bar, it's providing you with that extra 10% critical. Hey guys, I just want to interrupt here. If you really like what you're seeing, guys, consider becoming a channel member. It's the best way to support the channel here. It starts for just $1 a month, and it helps me continue to make great videos just like this. You also get insight. You get a little insider information. I post builds. I post these cards up there first to the community members. It's only a couple of days. You know, I try to get the information out as quick as I can to everybody, but if you're a channel member, you do get some perks there. So also a quick note here, guys, if you want to see if you want this card, if you want to be able to download this card, you can come by the Discord. That's where they're at first. I put them in the help channels there. And then after a couple of days, I put them on the website. It's nighthorrorgaming.com, and you can find all my build guides there. That's where the most update information is if it's not in the Discord, just because it takes me a couple of days after a video is launched to get it up on the website. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Back to the rest of the video. Moving on to our back bar. As we mentioned earlier, we're going to be running the Maelstrom Greatsword, and so we're going to be running Stampede here. It keeps our back bar enchantment procced, and it gives us the Maelstrom buff. We want to have this up all the time. After that, we have a flex spot here. We could be running Barb Trap for single target. If we're in AoE, you know, we might want something with a synergy, so Fulminating Root would be a great option. That actually gives extra synergies to your group. You could also run something like Caltrops if you want a larger AoE ability that also costs stamina. You could run Ambush here. You got a lot of options, and they're all really good, and it's kind of like 6 one way, half a dozen the other. I think Fulminating for the extra synergy is the way to go, but if you need a stamina costing skill, you could look at a Nightblade skill. Something like Ambush would work very well. Stamina costing. It does teleport you to your target, so do keep that in mind. You don't want to yeet yourself out into the ether. So whatever works for you here. After that, Inspired Scholarship. This is going to help us generate a Crux. It'll also provide us with extra weapon and spell damage, but generally speaking, we should have igneous weapons in group, but it will help us there even in a dungeon so that we don't have to run expensive potions if we don't want to. We, of course, have to double bar our banner here, and then after that, we're running Relentless Focus, and the reason for this is just for the passives, guys. Gives us extra weapon and spell damage with building up these stacks, and that's it. We don't really need to do anything else with it. Then for our ultimate, we're running the Languid Eye. If you're in trash or any like major AoE situation, guys, it is still better to drop the Meteor from the Mage's Guild skill line, and the reason for that is because it gives you back ultimate for each target it hits, and so you can cast it more often if you're in a trash fights and what have you. I just want to mention it here. The Languid Eye is just fine, and if you're solo or in a dungeon, instead of running the Languid Eye, I would actually go with the other morph since it tracks your target, because it doesn't matter if it does a little bit more damage. If it's not hitting your target most of the time, it's not going to do very much. And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't been in a pug recently where the tank actually stood still or held the boss in one location. So just something to consider there. And that is it for our skills, guys. Fairly straightforward. There's, you know, you got a couple of flex spots here. You got a shield you could throw in very easily and actually gives you a benefit in a lot of situations. So really great setup, honestly. Really good sustain on it. It's working great. All right, now let's take a look at some of these passives here, because these are absolutely critical for understanding why you don't need some of the sets we used to need, why Warhorn, the major force, and Saxil, the major force, and that don't matter. EC doesn't really matter anymore, and even like, you know, penetration, why we don't need Alkosh anymore. All right, so first up is going to be on Herald of the Tome. We need Fated Fortune. So whenever we generate or consume Crux, we get an extra 12% critical damage for 7 seconds. We're always going to be doing this, so this, as long as we're doing our normal rotation, this will be up 100% of the time. After that, it's Splintered Secrets down here. For each skill from Herald of the Tomb that is slotted on our bar, so it is the active bar, it provides us with 1240 penetration. Absolutely insane. We've got 2 right now, and typically that'll be the case. Now, in the past, whenever we needed more penetration, we would just throw on, you know, an ultimate, just put Tyking's Gags or the Languid Eye on our front bar. However, we don't necessarily want to do that with this setup right now because of the assassination skill line. So we get a bunch of critical. It's important to be flanking if we can with Master Assassin. Pressure points also gives us more critical, but we don't need to do anything. It's just per skill slotted. But Hemorrhage needs an assassination ability slotted on that bar to provide us with the extra 10% critical damage. Okay, so absolutely critical. Also, it provides us with our unique buff from the Assassination skill line, providing extra weapon critical, or minor savagery in particular. So what do we do here? Well, I think it's basically the situation is that we need more penetration. We probably don't move Soul Harvest. We probably just like move another Adric Spear ability to our front bar. Maybe we even drop Quick Cloak. You know, we don't want to, but if we need the extra penetration in a dungeon or something, in a trial, there are better options here, guys. I'm just mentioning on it quickly. If you're in a pug or something, you might want to just swap out Quick Cloak, I suppose, there. All right, now you will see a lot of people running around, and I mentioned this earlier, with a Blazing Spear slotted here, okay? And the reason for that is because of the Piercing Spear passive. With an Adric Spear ability, I can't talk, with an Adric Spear ability slotted, increase your critical damage by 12%. You are absolutely going to want this passive. And so a lot of people are just saying, hey, slot Blazing Spear and don't even use it. I think slot Raiding Ward and don't even use it unless you need to. That's what I personally recommend, but either is fine. If you're in a dungeon, maybe this would help for an extra synergy, but you might need it for that extra critical. The rest of these passives, you don't really need to worry about it. They just work passively as they should, and you don't need to worry about what is on your bar. And that is it for our passive, guys. So just so you kind of understand it, I will pop up here and show you the calculators. These will be available eventually on the website. If there will be in the Discord in the very near future. So if you need these, you want to look at it, play around with it, or what have you, come by the Discord, send me a DM, and I'll be happy to send it to you. All right, now let's talk real quickly about critical damage, penetration, and gear. Okay, so I'll pop up here. You can see the calculations that we've done. Basically, what this means, if you're running Onsl's Torment, it has a line of extra penetration. You don't need to do anything. If you're running Null Arca or really anything else that doesn't have that line of penetration, you need a little bit more penetration in most situations to be optimal for your group. So how do you get it? Well, you can actually drop one piece of medium, put on one piece of light, and you're good. So I actually recommend with this build running 6 medium and 1 light, and then you should be fine on penetration. Even if, you know, you have to switch to Null Arca or something else, and you should be good to go there. It actually works out quite well, and I don't really think you're going to lose any damage, guys. We're talking minuscule amounts here if we are. Like, you couldn't even tell on a parse. You'd really be talking like theoretical or over a long enough average. Running 1 piece light, 6 piece medium, I think is the way to go moving forward. Slottable CP, Wrathful Strikes, Biting Aura, Master at Arms, Exploiter. If you're solo, Reaving Blows now works with our beam. It provides a lot of healing, guys. So if you're someone who just wants to, like I do, take your Trials build into Overland, swap out Reaving Blows. Also, if you swap out Velothi Urmage Amulet for Ring the Pale Order, like, you're going to be able to solo, you know, anything you want to solo. You know, that's designed to be soloed, right? So any arenas, anything like that, you're going to be getting a ton of healing. Just make sure you keep your damage up, and you'll be just fine. You'll be getting a ridiculous amount of heals. Slottable Red CP, guys, you could really, this is a choose your own adventure, whatever you want to do. Fortified, Expert, Evasion, Celerity, and Slippery are the ones that I often go to. Slippery there, it's situational, but, you know, it just depends what you want. Your choice, right? Go with whatever you want there. We are slotting stamina here. If you want, guys, slot Magicka. Just change everything that I say stamina, swap it over to Magicka. If you're running a high elf, for example, that would also be better to run Magicka because of their class passives. Whatever you want to do there, it really doesn't matter for this build. Just, you know, make sure you do all of the same thing. We're running the Thief Mundus. Dark Elf, I love Dark Elves, guys, because they work just as good for stamina or for Magicka, although they get a little bit less recoveries than some of the other races. It's up to you. Whatever you want to run. At the worst case scenario, it's like a 5% damage loss, okay? Which now is a lot more than it used to be, but it's still not that much. You're going to be just fine. Dubious Cameron Throne if you need some recoveries, as well as max health and max stamina. Lava Foot Stomp if you're parsing, etc., right? Hopefully you guys know what kind of food you need there. There's several options that are more expensive, big increase in cost, so whatever you want to run there. For potions, so if we're not running our shield, if we're not running any Adric Spear ability, then you can just run Tri-Stat potions if you want, or Trash Pots, it's whatever you want. Another option that could be really fun if you don't need any recoveries is to run armor potions. It can increase your armor by like 6,000, guys, and it'll make you, that's 9% damage reduction. It's actually pretty huge. If you don't have a source of heroism and you want it, or you're really sweating it out, you can run heroism potions, of course. Really, your potions, you can run whatever sounds good to you. And then this is designed for hard mode dungeons, hard mode trials, veteran dungeons. And if you swap out and put Ring of the Pale Order on, you're going to do just fine in solo content. Guys, the trick for in-game players, the way we solo most things that are meant to be soloed, is that is literally all we do. We put on Ring of the Pale Order and we just do a bunch of damage, and you literally can't die into anything but a one-shot here. And you've already got a shield built into the build, so it's going to work really great for you. That's it for today, guys. Very straightforward. It's a great build. I love how we landed here. I think this is a good spot personally, and there's still a lot of options out there, which we'll talk about in other videos. I'm doing tons of build guides coming out for me, so like and subscribe and do all that kind of stuff if you want to see more builds like that. I appreciate everybody for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.